Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully complete our user profile. Right now, if you go to our home, if you search with any user, then if you go to that user, so that is our user profile page, right? So now I want to work with our this user flow and the unflow option. So if you want to do that work, we have to create two of this function. One will be as a flow, another will be as an unflow. So now let's do that work. For doing this, we have to work in our app logging. That means, if you go to that app logging, and that is our view, right? So that is our view, and here I have already created one of the function, that is our user function, right? So first of all, if you go to also in our app logging, if you go to that app logging models, so into the app logging models area, you can see I have already created one of the class as a flow. So now we have to work with this. That is our flow, that means the flowers and the flowing. So I have already created that relation with the user class, right? So now let's do that work. If you want to do that work, first of all, we have to load this class, that means this flow class in our view, that means in our app logging view. So here we have to first of all load it. You can see I have already loaded our app logging, the models input, I input our user profile. So now I want to add also our this flow. Okay, so now first of all, first work, you have to make that sure you have to add it. That means from our model I load our this class, that means the flow class. So now I want to create one of the function. That means after this I want to create one of the function. So it will be also as a logging required, right? So I make that as a logging required, and also after that I take one of the function, I name it a function as a flow, whatever you want. Now I name it as a flow. So this flow here we have to pass that our request, and also into the parameter area I want to pass our requested parameter as a username. If you go to our profile, you can see that is our name, that means the username, and then that is actually our username is visible, right? So here I pass this parameter as a username. And then I want to take one of the variable. I take one of the variable as a flowing. Okay, flowing underscore user. So this flowing user will be with our user model. So with this user model, I want to get all that this user model object data. I want to get it. So it should be get in our user model. They have the by default one of the field as a username. It should be matched with this requested username, right? When it should be matched, I want to get this data and take the things with this variable. That means that will be our flowing user. And also I want to take our current user. Our current user, if you want to, I want to take another variable. I name it as a flower. Okay, I name it as a flower underscore user, and that will be our current user. Current user means our requested user, right friend? I hope you remember that part. And now I want to put some of the conditions. So here first of all I have to get which user already liked another user. Right now this user, that means that is a Udemy Aryan. So this Kazi, so right now I'm already logging with the Kazi, right? If this Kazi is already flow this user, he cannot flow it again. He will be able to unflow this user, right? So here we have to put that condition. So better first of all I take one of the variable as a already underscore flowed. Okay, already flowed. So this type of one of the variable. And now with our flow I want to actually access all that objects. That means our flow, all that objects. I want to filter it. So I want to filter what? I want to filter our two of this relation. Here we have to take two of this relation. So that is our flowing, and that is our flower, and that is our flowing, right? So our flower will be our current user. That means if you go to our view, so here into the filter area, I want to first of all it should be as a flower. So our flower will be our current user. I take the things with this variable, and now I pass it on here. And also same as our another one as a flower. That means the flowing will be our requested user. That means this requested user, I take the things with this variable. So that will be as a flowing. I pass it. It should be match. With this flowing user. So it should be check it. This user is already flow this user or not. Okay, and I just take the things with this variable. So that is our variable as a already flowed. I hope it's very much clear to you, friends. So here we have to check it, because of all, if this user already flow this user, you cannot able to flow this user again, right? He will be able to unflow this user, not the flow. So first of all, here I have to check it, and I just take the things with this variable. And now I want to put one of the condition that if not, that means if not this user already flowed, okay, if this user already not flowed this user, then what exactly it should be do. Then I want to take another variable as a float. Okay, I take it as a float underscore user. So this float user will be with our flow. With our flow, it should be again do that same work. That means this condition. Before I check it, and now I want to apply it. So here I want to pass it. That means our flower will be our flower user. That means our current user, and the flowing will be our this flowing user. Okay, and when it should be match, after that I want to save it. So after that, with this floor, that means the float, that means with this float user, I want to save this data. So here I save it. Perfect. So here we have to add it, right? So now I want to save this data. So when I actually run it, then everything will be more clear to you. So here I save it, and after that I want to return it. That means it should be rather than return, and with our HTTP response, and then the reverse. With the reverse, I want to pass some of the page. So here it should be redirected to our which page? It should be redirected to our user page, right? That means if you go to our URL, that means that is our user page. So now I want to pass it. That means it should be as a app logging. So with this app logging, I want to access our path. Our path will be as a user, right? Now I want to access our this user, and also they have one of the parameter, that means the user parameter. So also here we have to pass it, right? That means also we have to pass it after that user. So if you want to pass it, as I told you before, they have the another keyword argument. So here we have to call that keyword argument again. That means the KWARGS, right? So with this keyword argument, here I want to pass our this username will be our username. Okay, friend. So that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do for our flow user. And now I want to create another one. I want to create another one for the unflow. So it should be also as a required. That means the logging required. And I take another function and name it as unflow. Okay, I name it as unflow. It should be also pass that request, and also it should be pass our another parameter as a username. It should be just like that same. And also here we have to first of all take one of the variable. I name it as a flow. Okay, flowing underscore user, and that will be the same with our user objects. I want to get all that our objects data, and it should be check our username. Our username will be matched with our requested username. It should be matched, right? And also we have to get our current user data. So with the floor, that is actually a floor user. So with this floor user, I want to get our current user. That means our requested user, right? That will be our current user. And then also here I have to check it again. It should be just like as our like or dislike option, right, friend? So as I told you, when I run it, then everything will be more clear to you. So with the flow, so with this flow class, I want to get that objects, and then I want to filter it. I want to filter it with the same condition. That means the flow, right? That means it should be as a floor, maybe. Let's check this out. You can see that is actually the same. That means the same concept we have to apply. Okay, so better I copy it, and now here I paste it. That means our floor will be as a floor user. Because of all, I also declared the same name, right? That will be our current user, and also there is another one that will be our appropriate. This flowing user will be our this flowing user. Perfect. So for the unflow user, here I want to do when it should be as the unflow, it should be delected our this already flowed user, right? So with this already flow, with this already flowed, so with this already flowed, right now I want to delete it. Okay, it should be now delete. Before I save it, so now right now I delete it, and after that I want to returned, and then the HTTP response redirect here with the reverse. with the reverse I want to do and to pass it, it should be passed same in our app logging. That means in our app logging, into the app logging, the user page, it should be redirected. And also here we have to pass that argument. That means the same things. You can see they have one of the arguments, so you have to pass it with this argument. So with this argument I want to do and to pass it with our username. Username will be our username, so it should be as a username, right friend? So perfect. So that's all you have to do. That is our flow user function and that is our unflow user function. So now we have to create both of these URL. That means if you go to our app logging, that is our app logging URL. So here we have to create both of this, right? Better I copy it and paste it. So first of all I name it as a flow. Okay, that will be as a flow, and after that flow that have some of the username. Because of all into the function area I have already passed that username, right? So that is a function name as a flow. That means in our view I already have created as a flow and I just name it as a flow. And then another will be as a unflow. Okay, I name it as an unflow, and after that unflow that is our username. If you go to our view, also for the unflow I have passed that our username, that will be as an unflow. I copy it and here it should be as an unflow, and then I name it as an unflow. So now I want to visible it, like that means it should be visible in our this page, right? That means that is actually our own profile page. Right now I am already logged in, but if this user search any user, and then there is our details, and here I want to visible it. That means here I want to apply our this flow and the unflow option. So if you want to do that work, so that is our which page? That is our others page, right? If you go to our view, into the view area I have already declared that as our others user.html. So into the others.user.html here also we have to pass our this information, right? Also here we have to pass that which flower and the flowing information. So also in particular this function area we have to pass it. So if you want to pass it like after this, okay, after this I take another variable as a already flowed. So already flowed will be with our flow. With our flow class I want to do same as objects. Objects will be filter it. That means I want to filter our two of this. That means it should be filter both of this. I better copy it. Okay, I copy it, and now it should be in the filter I pass it. So it should be as a flower. Flower means in our model area I have already cleared that relation as a flower and the flowing, right? So our this flower will be what? This flower will be our this user. That means this user, current user. So if you want to display the current user, it should be as a request and requested user, right friend? So that will be as a requested user. And also I get that object before I have already passed it. You can see I have get that object and take the things with this variable, and here I pass that variable. That means here I pass it, right? So now we have to update it also. Here I get our user object data and take the things with this variable, that is our user other. So now our flowing will be our this user other, right? So that will be our requested user, that means the current user, and then flowing will be our this variable. I get it and I take the things with this variable, so that is our variable. So now I pass it. So I have to pass our this information, that means the already flowed information in our this user other.html page. So if you want to pass it after that other, so after that I want to pass it, that will be as a already flowed. I want to pass that as a already flowed. I hope it's very much clear to you friend what exactly the things I did on here. So now we have to work in our user, that means in our user others.html. So now go to our user other.html. Here I want to add one of the button. I want to add one of the button for the flow or the unflow. So that is our username. Okay, after that username here I want to display it better here. Okay, after that username I want to put some of the spaces. So that is our spaces HTML code. I want to put some of the space, and after this first of all I want to put that condition. I have to add that condition. Our condition will be one of the if condition. If our I have already passed into the view, from the view I have passed our already flowed user, right? So that is our already flowed user. So as I told you, it should be our this and then our current user, that means flow and the flowing. So now I want to do, I have already get that data with our this already flowed variable, and also I pass it in our user others.html page. So now we can actually use it. We can use it with our if. I name it as if not, okay, if not our already flowed, then it should be display, one of the a tag, that means a href, and here it should be display as a float. Okay, it should be display as a flow, and else it should be display another one. So I make it as a else it should be display another one, and after that I want to make it, after that I want to make it as a and if, right? That will be as a and if. So now it should be as a flow. For the flow I want to put some of the class. Okay, I put some of the class. It should be as a btn primary. So it should be as a btn primary, one of the class. So that will be our flow. That means if this user already not flowed this user, then it should be display as a flow rather than it should be display unflow, right? Else it should be display as a unflow. It should be displayed as unflow. So for the flow and the unflow, I have already created some of the URL, right? So I have already created that URL. So that is our flow and the unflow. So now I want to apply it. That means when it should be created as a flow, then it should be redirected toward this path URL. So here I have to load that URL, and into the URL area it should be our what? It should be our app logging. So with this app logging, I want to access our this path name. So our path name as a flow, right? So it should be as a flow. I name it as a flow, and after that flow they have also one of the parameter as a username, right? So now we have to pass it. That means we have to pass it. After that I name it as a username, and username will be what? Username from here I have, if you go to our view, into the view area I have passed every data with our this user others, right? So with this user others I want to access our user table field as a username. I want to access it, right friends? So at that point I hope it should be very much clear to you what exactly that username are, and here I get all the data and I pass it. So now also you have to do the same things. You have to do the same things for our unflow. I paste it, that is in our app logging. I have created that URL. URL name will be as a unflow, and also they have our username. That means our parameter. So it will be as a unflow with this username. That will be the same as a user with our user others. I want to access our username, right? And that will be our this one. That will be as a unflow. Perfect. So that's all you have to do. Now let's check this out. If everything okay, it should be work. Like click as a save all. I click as a save all. First of all I want to check our server. Our server is totally now running. Now let's do that work. Like here, go to our accounts. Right now I'm logging with the Kazi. So this Kazi I want to search with our new user as Udemy. Click as a search. That is our profile. You can see that is our flow button. So now if you click as a flow, yes, you can see friend, now automatically our this user flowing is increased, and also now it's showing as a unflow. So that is the condition I have applied. If this user not already flow, then it should be display as a flow, right? Then it should be display our this flow rather than it should be display as a unflow, right friend? Else it should be display as unflow. So you can see it's now become updated, and now it's showing as a unflow, and our one flowing is increased. And if you go to our Kazi, into the Kazi you can see one flower is increased. That means Kazi they have the one flower. And if you go again with the Aryan, and if you go to the home, go to Aryan, click on the search, that is our another account. If you click as a flow, you can see there is a one flowing, and if you now go to our take Kazi, you can see that it's actually showing as the two flowers, right friend? I hope it's very much clear to you. And also if you want to unflow this user, let's check this out is perfectly working or not. I search with the Aryan, Udemy Aryan, unflow it. Yes, it's updated. And if you go home, yes, you can see it's also updated. Perfect. So friend, we successfully did that work. So right now I want to do, if you actually flow any user, that means if you flow as a this user, so this user, they have some of the post. Okay, so when you actually flow this user, so right now I am already flow this user, so this flowing user, all that post should be visible in our home page. And when you unflow it, then it will be not visible. So all that your flowing related, every user post data, you can visible it in your home page. So how you can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.